The college basketball experience, Atlantic Coast Conference. Yes, the AAC 2024-25 conference preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to get 50% off your deposit bonus up to $1,000. Hop on over there, underdogfantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football, college basketball, and NFL with Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, this is John Sally, and you listen to SGPN. Let it ride.
To the All-Coast Conference 2024-25 college basketball preview. I mean, it's college athletics. There's new teams coming in every damn conference. Probably right now. I bet you if I refresh my Twitter feed, you'll probably have another team in a different conference. But the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, is now the All-Coast Conference because they went out to the Bay Area. You know, Johnny Dawkins used to be at Stanford. Maybe that was the tie-in. An old Duke Blue Devil went out to Stanford, and maybe he was the middleman, even though he's at UCF in the Big 12 there. Maybe he placed a phone call for them, much like George W. Bush placed a phone call for SMU saying, we want a part of this All-Coast Conference. Let us in. But George, you went to Yale. I don't care. Get SMU in. Operation Desert Storm 2.0. Anyway, it's going to be fascinating because the Atlantic Coast Conference has been obviously, I think historically, you talk college basketball, you talk Atlantic Coast Conference. Tobacco Road. Oh, we're going to talk about the Pussy Pack's magical run. Of course, they didn't win it all. But, nice little run. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swagger Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
This is regarding my NC State projections last season. Folks, we are, like 30 days away from basketball. I was doing suicides on my kitchen or my family room floor. All right. My dog's looking at me like I'm a maniac. Let's go. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Get on over there. Hit that like and subscribe button. We do encourage storming the court. Well, 3 of us encourage storming the court.
While we're at it, you can't call them suicides anymore. It's not PC.
What are they called now? Do we know this?
Run fast.
Did you say PC instead of PG?
No, PC, politically correct, right? Because
okay.
Yeah. But PG, I guess you can say that too. I guess both work. Folk, look, youtube.com/The College Experience. If you're looking at my stupid face, you're going to see some other stupid faces as well. I am joined by my co-host. He is the host of give it up for former video coordinator for Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. He's the host of the Big 12 College Experience, the host of the Ryan and Rush Show. You can hear him also on the College Football Experience as well. Give it up for Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. Ryan McIntyre. How are you, brother?
Woo. I'm doing good. Yeah, the All-Coast Conference. We go from the East Coast to the West Coast. Welcome in, Stanford and Cal, and the SMU Ponies. Let's go.
Don't forget the Gulf Coast.
Come on, make it Mac tonight.
Yeah, and also, I mean, what? Yeah, you said Gulf Coast, Nick?
Well, it's Texas.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I didn't hear it. What you said.
I said Gulf Coast.
Okay.
Yes.
We were also joined by this guy. He's on the boards, behind the scenes. He's always doing stuff. He sent me over a spreadsheet at like 4 a.m. a week ago, saying I've tracked every damn player in the All Coast Conference. I know where they went to college. I know their favorite movie. I know their favorite thing to eat. All that shit. Give it up for the host of the college baseball experience and the college basketball experience, the man, the myth, the legend, Noah Bieniek. How are you, brother?
What's going on, guys? This is going to be a fun episode. Colby, you mentioned how everybody can see ugly faces. They can't quite see mine because the Wi-Fi is just too dog shit in this household.
Yeah. I didn't know. See, I didn't know Michigan. I knew they had a water problem at one point, but
Ethernet for those that care to know. It's just the best we can do right now. I don't know why.
You guys got internet problems. You fixed the water finally, but your internet's fucked. Right? That's how it works, right? Got to sacrifice something. We're also joined by fourth man in the booth, the DFS god himself. Some say the ACC god himself. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, Tobacco Road living, the free lock giving farmer Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys? College basketball, man.
It's right around the corner. I was already looking, before I even had to do prep on this episode. I knew about, I think it was December 4th. And I'm going to be over there. All right. And I'm going to be sitting there having to decide, do I go to Alabama at North Carolina? Do I go to, was it Texas at NC State? Ooh. Or do I go to Auburn at Duke? All three happening. Auburn at Duke. It's probably going to be impossible to get that ticket unless I paint my fucking face blue or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, but
you better hit a couple money line parlays the week before.
No shit.
Or maybe I'll just start camping out and people just let me in. But that's a great day of ACC. That's the ACC SEC challenge there. All on one day. I thought they would spread that out a little bit. No, they're just going all in. But I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about a lot of the other matchups. I know Duke and Arizona's got the home and home that they've been doing. And let's talk about these new teams. NC Nick, I know you were, one of the strongest advocates for adding in basketball powers like Southern Methodist and Stanford and Cal. You said it's great to get, Silicon Valley involved with the conference.
I sense your sarcasm. Yeah, we'll see how they do. I mean, SMU, I guess, have they been the better of the three of late? I mean, it's not like SMU's been crushing it on the hardwood.
They made the tournament with Larry Brown. I think so.
I guess so, but none of the three schools are powerhouses. That's for sure. I think it's more of a football move, and basketball just has to follow suit. So
you got Jason Kidd now. He's a legendary ACC guard.
There you go. That's right. I remember those ACC battles with him against Grant Hill. I don't know. We'll see how they do. The travel is going to be a bitch, and we'll see how they do first year in the ACC. I don't know what to expect. I don't think any of them are going to contend. I don't think any of them are going to make the tournament this year. But they all have pretty good coaches, so maybe
that's what I was about to say. They've suddenly had striking when the iron's hot. They've all kind of fixed their coaching positions within the past 2 years. Mac, what do you make of these three teams coming into the All Coast Conference?
Well, you make a good point. We like Mark Madsen here headed into year 2. We loved Kyle Smith at Wazoo, so he comes over to Stanford, and it's a really cool hire just with how emotional he was with his son having the disease that he has and having the Stanford resources to help him out there. So I like the fit there. I think he's going to revive that program. And then I think people forget, we talk about Calipari going from Kentucky to Arkansas, Musbus going from Arkansas to USC. It all started because Andy Enfield went from USC to SMU. So you get a proven winner. He's been to multiple Sweet 16s at Gulf Coast and at USC. And I think three pretty good coaches coming in the league.
Andy Enfield must have lived in in Venice Beach and just got sick of the homeless people shitting on his lawn or something. You know what I mean? Like, because that was
still. I mean, do you guys think he's a good coach and a solid coach? I'm still kind of on the fence with Enfield.
No, I think he's a good coach. Yeah.
I think he's a good coach at like a football program where he's one of those guys. He doesn't have to be the center of attention. He just slides in. You flip on the TV after football season mid-January, and they're 14-2, and they're right in contention for an at-large bid.
He did take USC
split.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he took USC to the Elite Eight back in 2021, but just made the NCAA's 5 out of 11 years. I think he's solid, but I actually thought SMU was going to make more of a splash hire. When I was kind of surprised when Enfield kind of came out of left field.
I didn't think they'd be able to land Enfield. So to me, it was like, wow, they landed Enfield. Like, I didn't think they'd be able to get him. I think I would assume that the sitting coach at USC would traditionally turn down the head coach position at SMU. I don't care if you're Henry Bibby, you know what I mean? So, so I was taken back by it being like, whoa. I was also surprised they got rid of Lanier. I didn't think he was doing a horrible job. So, you know, when it comes to SMU basketball and really the amount of money they raise in football, this is me.
Well, I don't get the brain man cold, but they're
Noah, your thoughts on the 3 schools coming in?
Yeah, I have yet to. I've talked about this with Mac before. Like, everybody nerds out when the schedules get released, but we've known like the opponents forever. So like, I never get geeked out and I'll go over and look at schedules and whatever. But the only time I'm looking at schedules is when I'm trying to handicap actual like conference races and who they have on their slate. But what I can tell you is that I think traveling to the Bay Area is going to be a little bit easier for these teams than traveling to SMU. You can pull off a travel partner and you can play one game at Cal, one game at Stanford, and then head back home. But what you can't do is go down to SMU and then pair that up in a weekend like the Pac-12 had travel partners and whatever. So that trip, I think, is more of a bitch than some may realize.
Yeah, that means that next year they should add North Texas. All right. Talk to me, ACC. Call 1-800-PICK-DUNDEE. Folks, look, before we get into going through every single team, I want to tell you that the college basketball experience, is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And here at SGPN, we are trying to help people. Hurricane Helene has been absolutely devastating to the people of Western North Carolina. If you haven't caught the news, it's been absolutely tragic what has happened to the Appalachians essentially, and a lot of those cities and towns amongst the Appalachians. SGPN is teaming up with a local charity, mountainprojects.org, to help give back. The biggest donation will get a guest spot on the College Football Pick Show and a ton of SGPN merch. So what are you doing? Hop on over, go to mountainprojects.org, hit the flood support button to help out today. And I can't tell you how many times last year, Mac, that when we were live doing this every single night, people, hit me up, say, Dundee, if you're ever in Minneapolis, beer's on me. If you're ever in wherever, they would tell us these things, Mac. I remember. Noah, you remember too, right? And I would say, here's an opportunity to buy me that beer. All right. I know it's not going to be as cool because you don't get to sit down and hear my stupid opinions on shit. But mountainprojects.org, man, help out these people. This has been like seeing some. Just do 15 minutes on Google to looking at what the hell has happened to these towns and stuff. It's absolutely tragic. I still don't even think they've opened up Asheville yet. As far as like a highway to get there, I've seen people complaining on social media that we haven't been able to get these trucks in there to help people. So please, if you can hop on over to mountainprojects.org, look, it would be way better than buying me a beer or buying Mac a beer. So please jump on over there and do that. Mountainprojects.org, hit flood support. And we were going to be grateful forever. All right, we are back. And Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this conference. Let's start with just.
Can I mention something too before we get into this? So
Sure.
I feel like the ACC, a lot of these teams don't have a whole lot of retention from last year's rosters. There's not a whole lot of continuity. There's only one school that retained more than 60% of the roster from minutes wise last season. It was Notre Dame. And Colby, get ready to fire off a lot of gun soundboard noises because a lot of in-conference transfers.
There really is.
Welcome to 24-25, Noah.
I swear.
Also, I listened to last year's preview. We all, you three were all on the ACC preview. All three of you picked Duke. North Carolina won.
Well, you Nick's there. He sprinkles his fairy dust on us.
They won the regular season. Big deal.
First jigs, baby.
And then NC State wins the tournament.
Nobody had that.
No.
Did we have a surprise and bust team?
No. For some reason, we forgot on half of these for some reason last year.
Oh no, yeah, so that's probably good because the bus team was NC State. You know what I mean? But I'll say that this year. I feel comfortable saying that this year. All right, Rodney Monroe's now walking through that door. So we good? We're good. We got to start. I could go through. We're gonna start
I just wanted
alphabetically.
to give you my two takeaways from filling in the sheet.
All right, let's start with these Boston College Golden Eagles. Obviously, they haven't been relevant since fucking Bill Curley or Danya Abrams. But hey, you're seeing Bill O'Brien, and maybe that's the problem. They don't have they don't have an O'Brien at the basketball on the basketball front. But Earl Grant, who I am an Earl Grant fan. I like what he did at Charleston. Longtime assistant there at Wichita and Clemson. You gotta start to wonder. I mean, he had a winning season last year for the first time in his tenure in Chestnut Hill there. 20-16. Is the seat hot at all, guys?
Yes.
Even though he had a winning season?
I mean, Jim Christian got like 7-8 years there. Right before him. And I mean, he won 20
But Rome
games.
wasn't burning then. Rome is burning right now. You need to win now. Before you were on cruise control because you thought the sport would be the same for forever. Now you're like, holy shit, we might end up in the American East if we don't win some basketball games. Yeah.
I will say he's had to navigate some injuries through his first 3 years. Like he's had some real dynamic offensive players, but it just hasn't molded into good offenses. And that's why I hold it against him in a bit. Like in his 3 years, 13th, 10th ranked offensive efficiencies in the ACC via KenPom.
And it's not a good sign.
And his really dynamic wife.
I'm sorry.
It's not a good sign when you see a bunch of starters from last year transferring out. So I think they're going to struggle again this year, and it's year 4. He's below 500 overall, just 23-37 in conference play. I didn't think it was a good hire from the get-go. Nothing personal against Earl Grant. I just didn't think it would work. Unfortunately, I think it looks like I'm being proved correct.
Yeah, and what you're referring to is everybody transferred out. Jaden Zachary's at Clemson. Claudel Harris went to Hale State, Mississippi State. Prince Aligbe went to Seton Hall. Mason Madsen went to the Utah Utes. Armani Mighty, great name, to the Chips, Fire Up Chips. And Devin McLaughlin, no relation to Chester. He transferred out to Vanderbilt. Oh boy! Now you bring in Joshua Beadle from Clemson.
They lose Quentin Post too.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, those are big flaws.
Jeez, man, they're gonna be bad. I'm trying to be optimistic for them. I'm like, okay, you brought in Chad Venning, Deion Brown, Chad Venning comes in from the Bonnies. Deion Brown comes in from UMBC. They also brought in Roger McFarland from the Lions of Southeast Louisiana, and a couple 3-star recruits that I know they're excited about: Luca Towles, Nick Petronio. They're going to be horrible. This might be the worst roster in the league, and I'm sorry, Earl. All right, you guys got to win. What are you guys doing right now? Focus on come on. Where's this NIL collective? You need to be going out there getting some guys, because this is not a good sign when everyone leaves.
That Sorry Earl sounded a lot like Miranda Lambert. And she has a song that says Goodbye Earl, I think. So
take your word for it, Noah.
He's way ahead of me. I got no idea who the hell Miranda Lambert is, but
Jack Lambert's daughter.
I'm sure she stayed at a Holiday Inn once, right? Mac, what do you make of this team?
I mean, I thought they overachieved, to be honest, last year. Earl Grant winning 20 games. I think they kind of maximized everything. Now they lose everyone. They lose post to the NBA. A lot of question marks here. This is definitely a bottom tier team, if not the absolute basement in the ACC. I hate to start off with such a dud and negative energy, but it's hard to get optimistic about this roster.
Grant's got to know this, right? He's just borrowed time, right? using the company credit card at all he's going to the expensive restaurants this year. He's saying, fuck it.
Like it's pretty bad when your two best returners are Donald Hand and Chaz Kelly. And then, I mean, the transfers coming in, it's not like they did all that good in the portal.
No, didn't even kill it on the recruiting trail either.
No. So this program has absolutely no momentum. He's definitely on a very hot seat. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last we see of Earl Grant and Chestnut Hill.
Are they the best team in Massachusetts?
No, UMass.
I know, right?
Yeah,
UMass is better. I think Lowell might be better too.
Northeast.
I think Mac picked BU third in the Patriot League.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about these Northeastern teams.
We can take a quick look at the schedule and see who they might lose to in November and December, because you got Temple.
Loss.
I would say so. Loyola, Maryland, the Greyhounds. Dartmouth.
They're bad. Loyola, Maryland's bad.
I've been saying I'm going to be taking a lot of dogs against Boston College early on, even if the dogs are on the road.
Hey, Noah, cash with the Maine Cocaine Bears.
That's right.
2 years ago.
Noah, when the ACC's net ranking is bad, I'm going to just point to Boston College, and that's the reason why they're bad.
I don't think, they're going to be in the basement, but hopefully they're not ankle weights for the net. I don't think they're as bad as Louisville last year. This is a young and experienced group, and there's plenty of up transfers. Nobody on this roster is replacing Quentin Post, but replicating some of the recent guard play that BC's had, I think is just far-fetched. So, yeah, this is going to come nowhere close to a 9-11 finish in the ACC this year.
I'm just trying to figure out who their next coach is. That makes sense. We need an O'Brien. I just can't think of one right now.
Guy at Colgate.
Langle.
Right?
There's an O'Brien in the ACC this season.
Matt
I remember
Langle.
typing that name.
Played at Penn. Yeah.
That would make sense. Yeah.
You know who they should hire? They should hire Beckner from Vermont.
Yeah. John
that
Beckner.
would be a great hire. Why would they probably already tried that and he probably turned them down though, right? Because he's been there a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the time he had only won 3 America East regular seasons in a row. Now he's got 6.
That's true. What are they going to give him? Free cocktails at that Cheers bar? Huh? Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to find not a lot of Irish coaches. Guess they're all drunk at the bar. Anyway, let's continue on this journey, because do we all agree that Boston College is at least a I know we're going to get to our rankings later, but like a bottom 3 team?
They're in the basement
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's move along. Next, we are going to the California Golden Bears. All right. 13-19 a season ago, 9-11 in the Pac-12, tied for 6th. That was year 1 though, Mark Madsen's era. And he went out and look, I know they lost some guys. Devin Askew, who had transferred in from Kentucky, heads out to the Dirtbags of Long Beach State. Monty Bowser heads out to Northern Arizona. Rodney Brown to Virginia Tech. Grant Newell to North Texas. Andy Okafor to Washington State. And Jalen Celestine to Baylor, as well as Ren Robinson. They lost all those guys, and also Jalen Tyson went pro. Fardaz Amik also out of eligibility. Jalen Cone, who had been in college 20 years at Virginia Tech and Northern Arizona, he's gone. Keontae Kennedy, who had came in from UTEP, is gone. You're replacing a lot, but I kind of buy into like just Madsen building the culture there. But he definitely used the portal to go out there and get some big time guys. Jovan Blackshear from Grand Canyon, who was very good there, is coming in. Also, Matty Sissoko from Michigan State, who I think I rostered way too often in DFS last year. Lee Dort, great name. Sounds like a pitcher in the 70s. You know what I mean? Lee Dort transfers in from Vanderbilt. DJ Campbell from the Catamounts of Western Carolina. Christian Tucker coming in from UTSA. BJ Omot from the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota. Going out and getting an Air Force guy. This was a huge loss for Air Force, actually. Ritus. How do I pronounce this again? Petritis. Ritus Petritis. God, that sounds like a goddamn STD. You know, it was a good time down there in Cape Town, South Africa, but damn if I didn't get Ritus Petritis. Joshua Ola Joseph's coming in from Minnesota. And also a Stanford trend. What the fuck, man? What's going on here?
There are a lot of them in this conference.
Stojakovic's kid.
Yeah, but I look, I'm already questioning his just his overall who he is as an individual. Where the hell is my has he not been schooled on this? That's the only thing I could think of is maybe, did he grow up overseas and then just didn't know anything about Stanford Cal? And one of the things, if you ask the lay person, if they had to pick the most communist place in the United States, I think they would choose Berkeley, California. So I was wondering if perhaps that is why Stephon Marbury Jr., I know his dad was playing in China for a long time, and maybe they thought, hey, I got a great spot for you. It's a lot like here. Go to Berkeley. You have a great time. But anyway, he's on the roster, which has my, that's intriguing. Yeah, it's always great to see star talent. They also have Spencer Mahoney, a Washington State transfer. Love Police Academy. I actually do think this program's heading in the right direction. I know it's a shit ton of new faces, but the more we preview these teams these days, this is like the norm, right? There's not many teams that, so I'm actually pretty high on them. I actually think they're going to be like when I say a player, I don't think they're going to flirt with winning the conference, but I think they're going to be a solid team in the conference this year. I think he's a good coach too. So and some of those gets, I think can be a difference maker. We'll see how they gel. Obviously it's a lot of fucking new faces. What am I counting here? What is this? Is this 10 new players on this team?
Yep.
Not including the 10 transfers, 1 freshman. Good Lord. I think they're going to be pretty solid though. And that's just a blind faith on a couple of the names that I know. And then also the fact that I think he's a good coach. Mac, your thoughts on the Cal Golden Bears?
Yeah, definitely a high variance team where with 10 newcomers, I felt like last year they took too many high profile names, whether it was Tyson or Amik or
Askew.
Askew. I feel like those guys usually don't win when they're on their third school for a reason. I know he's bringing in a lot of transfers, but I think these guys, most of them come from winning programs for the most part. Whether it's Michigan State, Grand Canyon, you got Western Carolina, they were good as well. I think they'll be a little bit better, kind of around 500. They got better throughout the first year of Madsen. I buy into him as a coach, and I think Stojakovic is being mentored by Madsen because Madsen played at Stanford, and he said, "Come on over here. I know what it's like to be a Cardinal. Come over to the dark side."
That is true. I'm all confused there. It's like when Schembechler left Ohio State for Michigan. You know what I mean? He was an Ohio State guy. I'll take the head coaching job at Michigan. What? NC Nick, your thoughts on these Golden Bears?
It's kind of hard to say because we haven't seen Madsen succeed at the toppest level of college basketball yet. Last year was an interesting year. They started off really slow with a bunch of losses to mid majors like Pacific, Montana State, UTEP, and then they also lost their last 4 games of the regular season where it looked like some of those players had checked out. In between, though, they had games where they played good and they had some pretty good Pac-12 wins. So when you lose your top 8 guys and you're replacing them all with transfers, it's a crapshoot. I do like some of the gets, the 2 guys from the Big Ten. Matty Sissoko, I always thought he was going to blossom into a better player. He actually had a better junior season than senior season. Beginning to lose minutes there last year. And then Ola Joseph, he had a stretch where he was playing really good basketball last year. I think 9 or 10 games in a row, double digits, but he fell out of favor towards the end and really saw his minutes decline. It's tough to say here. On paper, I like what they did in the portal. If you look at just compare them to Boston College, because those are the 2 teams we've talked about. They did so much more in the portal. Now you have Madsen. Can he bring them all together? Huge question mark. Like Max said, high variance. I don't know what to expect, but I think they'll probably be around 500 in the league.
Yeah. Bieniek, your thoughts on the newcomer?
So Mac and Nick both touched on things that I wanted to get to. First off, I think the front court's going to be small. I was never high on Matty Sissoko inside the Big Ten. He was just getting his lunch money 8 down low, but I feel like leaving the Big Ten, he might actually be able to benefit a little bit. And because all these portal gets aren't really stars, household names, big names in college basketball, I think that fits Madsen's coaching style a little bit better. Kind of like what Max said with Jalen Tyson, Fardaws and Make, and then Jalen Cone. In Madsen's final 2 seasons at Utah Valley, he had top 100 defenses. Last year with a roster that was much better than this on paper, did not have a top 100 defense, and they finished below 500 in the Pac-12, 139th ranked defense. Last year, Cal, they had some studs. Madsen put up one of the best seasons in Cal's history in the last half decade here, but I'm not sure it was what he wanted from a defensive standpoint. So I think there could be a similar output coming into the season with just better, systematic, gel or whatever, well-oiled machine this year.
Yeah, I know they're newcomers, so you say, well, it's culture. He's building that culture. It's like, well, how the hell can that happen with 11 new guys? But no, I think he knows what he wants. He's more comfortable knowing what he wants. And
of those transfers, only 2 of them were grad, so they're definitely done this year. So at least he got a bunch of guys who are going to be there for at least 2 years, if not a couple more.
Yeah, hopefully.
True.
The portal goes, you can never be confident there. Rob saying Blackshear's ball pressure on defense is going to be a game changer. Yeah, that's to youtube.com/the college experience, folks. Let us know your thoughts. We go live every night of the season, by the way, if you're just tuning in, talking college hoops year round over here on the College Basketball Experience. Folks, I want to tell you that the College Basketball Experience is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and SGPN has the most DGen pregame shows in all the world. Yes, every Saturday morning, the College Experience YouTube starts at 11 a.m. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, well, right now it's football, but yes, we do it for basketball as well. So 11 a.m. on Saturdays, Eastern time zone there. For the NFL, the Propcast kicks you off at 11 a.m., followed by the Sports Gambling Podcast from noon to 1 Eastern, that is. Last second bets, DGen parlays, your calls. They're going to take your calls. I mean, much, much more as well. So check it all out. And remember to let it ride. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Pick'em as one of the biggest menus for all sports: NFL, college football, college basketball, CFL, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, and much, much more. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boost. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries as well. So what are you doing? Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick. Plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back. Going down the ranks here. Next, we jump over to the Clemson Tigers. Great season last year for Brad Brownell, 24-12, senior-ridden team. The 11-9 in conference, tied for 5th, but obviously had a decent NCAA tournament. The problem is PJ Hall is gone. And besides that, they did lose Jack Clark, no relation to the former St. Louis Cardinal that used to hit dingers, but RJ Godfrey also headed out to the Georgia Bulldogs. Alex Hemingway went to Vanderbilt, and Joshua Beadle, who we talked about earlier, transferred out to Boston College. You also lost Joe Girard, who had been in college 35 years, and Bas Leite. They lost some guys, but they went out in the portal. And first, they went over to Duke and said, "You know what, Christian Reeves, come over here." All right. I mean, they also brought in Miles Foster, no relation to Greg, from Illinois State, and Victor Lakin from Cincinnati, the Bearcats. And the big one here, Jaden Zachary from Boston College, which I think is a good one. And Chase Hunter is a guy that went to the NBA draft, came back. And then a couple of freshmen they're excited about. Keep an eye out on Dallas Thomas, the 4-star forward there. What do you guys make of this team? They do return a couple other guys. Ian, how do I pronounce this again?
Shefflin.
Shefflin.
Okay. The I is silent, huh? Yeah.
He's good too.
Yeah, he was a good player a year ago. Also, bringing back Dylan Hunter as well, and Chauncey Wiggins. Nick, where are you at with Brownell? We thought it was a make or break year for him a year ago. He ends up having a pretty damn good year.
Well, it's only the second time in his 14 years that he made it past the opening round. So I guess they had the right mix of experience and a more talented team than usual last year, and they just got hot and made a run. But I like what they did here. They're still an old experienced team, even with losing Girard and PJ Hall. So I think they plugged in very critical pieces, and I think they didn't bring in a ton of guys, but they made smart decisions in the portal. And I think you're going to see Shefflin fill the role of PJ Hall because he has a similar set of attributes. And then I think Hunter and Wiggins. I think if they can improve, and I think they have a chance to, I think Clemson's going to be pretty good here. I think this is a top 3 or 4 team in the ACC.
Donaldson's taking some shots at Brad Brownell in the chat. YouTube.com/the college experience. Mac, where are you at with these Tigers? You think they're players in the conference?
I don't think they're a player to win it. I think that Hall and Girard are too big of losses from a leadership standpoint, but I do think that they'll be in definitely the top tier. Like Duke and Carolina, I think are in a different tier than the other ones. Then you get that second tier. I think that they're a solid team, probably around that 18 to 22 win slot. But we've seen this with Brownell where his back's against the wall. He's got to win some games. He pulls out an Elite 8 in 2018. He got a Sweet 16. And then the rest of his tenure's kind of been around that 18 to 22 mark. So I think they take a step back, but I do like their roster. I think they're solid. And yes, David in the chat, similar attributes. They're both white. That's why they're comparing Hall and Shefflin.
No, but they can both step out and hit a jumper. Yeah. They're both good rebounders. Yeah, but yes, they both are white.
Yeah. There's only one of them, not two anymore, though.
That's true.
Bieniek, where are you at with these Clemson Tigers?
Yeah, so I've victory lapped my takes on Clemson the last 2 years now on you guys, where people were saying Brownell was on the hot seat. They finished top half in the ACC when nobody expected them to. And then last year, they were a Sweet 16 team when a lot of people didn't even expect them. I honestly was off of them in the second half of the year after they had a really good non-con. They shit the bed early in the ACC, and then they ran the table late. I think the biggest loss is actually Joe Girard. His leadership in the backcourt was big for this team, just because I felt like I was watching a lot of Clemson games last year. On paper, PJ Hall is a big loss, but at the end of the year, coming down to the wire in a lot of these games, the dude just could not stay out of foul trouble. We saw Ian Shefflin emerge like in crunch time, and he almost averaged a double-double by the end of the year alongside PJ Hall. I think there's a chance for him to turn into a monster because he's going to play that PJ Hall role. And the reason why Hall was in a lot of foul trouble at the end of the year was because he was playing the 5, Now you have Victor Alakin coming in from Cincinnati. He's actually a 6'11" center that's going to be able to keep Shefflin in that 4 and not have to take too many fouls in the paint. And I think that's going to help out the Tigers so much defensively this year. This goes along with 2 seniors with ACC experience in the backcourt, and Hunter and Zachary. And tell me if you've heard this one before, but Noah Bieniek is once again high on a Clemson team.
Whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball, just never football. There we go, folks. Look, I want to tell you that the ACC College Basketball Preview on the College Basketball Experience is brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, props, all that good stuff. Build your own model. That's what I would do, because it'll adapt around what you like, or you can just sit back and copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard. But Rhythm will give you predictions for every game and player prop. They also have a slew of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insight. Me, I like Sam Houston State in the Sun Bowl this week. What is it, Thursday? Laying the points there. So claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best of the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. And once again, I mean, that same night, I'll take Texas State minus the points there. A little Texas two-step for you against those Troy Trojans. Use our link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. Promo code SGPN, so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. All right, we are back, and this conference is endless because now we go to the Duke Blue Devils. John Shire, 27-9, 15-5 in the conference. We know this court storming nonsense. When's it gonna stop? All right, is ridiculous, but pretty good season. I think he's doing a decent job. How would you grade? NC Nick, folks, is a Duke Blue Devil diehard. How would you grade? I know I asked Jay Billis the same question a year ago, but how would you grade him? Replacing.
We care about NC Nick's opinion more than Jay Billis's.
Well, they're similar on the court storming, but yeah, if anything, I feel like they consulted before they came on the fucking show. But where are you at with John Shire overall, NC Nick?
I say B so far. He's certainly bringing in talent, so that the talent hasn't dipped. I've been saying he's not a good in-game coach, and I think there's some truth to that. But whenever you're a brand new head coach, you're not going to be a great coach right away. I think you have to give somebody time. You have to let them grow into the role.
I was saying this with Dion. I was like, he's got to learn, or Bill McCartney. A lot of times it does take a couple years to get your wings under you.
A lot of times coaches learn at lower levels, so it's definitely going to be hard with the spotlight on you being a brand new head coach. So I think when you hire somebody like him, then you expect him to grow into the role and get better as a head coach, just like anybody gets better at any job. So far so good. This is a big year considering the offseason and the decisions they made, but the pressure is always going to be on you. So we'll see how this year goes. Yeah, the decisions they made, what he's referring to is first, Ryan Young graduated. Kyle Filipowski, he's out of there, thank God. Jared McCain is out of there.
It might be a good thing for Duke too after that whole distraction with his girlfriend.
I will not miss watching Filipowski in a Duke jersey. So
me neither.
Yeah, please. Let's just say I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be optimistic right now. but if let's just say that how's the best way to say this? If he went out and got Ritus Petratus, a case of Ritus Petratus or whatever the fuck that guy's name was, Ritus Petratus, I would not care. All right, how about that? Anyway, some big news this offseason though, because a lot of guys got like that I thought were going to be back at Duke hit the road or maybe was told to hit the road. I don't know, but Jeremy Roach, who had been one of their better players, I feel like he heads out to the Baylor Bears. That was pretty shocking. Also, Mark Mitchell, who played major minutes with them, heads out to the Missouri Tigers. Jaden Shutt went to Virginia Tech. Sean Stewart to Ohio State. TJ Moore Power rah going to Tony Bennett in Virginia. I forgot. I should have done that for Shutt too. And Jalen Blake's to Stanford. Stanford, what are you doing? I don't even know if I can sound the gun at that, because I don't even know that. I feel like the Stanford administration probably doesn't even realize they're in the ACC yet. Christian Reeves also comes in from I said Kansas, Clemson. Or I'm sorry, heads out to Clemson. What the hell happened here? Did something happen that just pissed off the whole team, or what? Why did that many players leave? Now, at the same time, they did bring in Malik Brown from Syracuse, which I know they're high at, and then obviously Cooper Flagg is.
They told this core that, hey, there's a new wave coming in. That's what happened.
Yeah. So they return. They return a couple guys with Caleb Foster, Tyrese Proctor, but Cooper Flagg has been talked about for the past 10 years. I feel like Mason Gillis comes in from Purdue, and same with Sion James from the Tulane Green Wave, as well as Cameron Sheffield from the Rice Owls. A shit ton of good transfers. I'm sorry, I can't talk. A shit ton of big time recruits come in. Cooper Flagg, Cayman. Oh man, how do I pronounce this again? How the hell do you get that from that? Anyway, he's a 5-star, number 8 recruit in the nation. Isaiah Evans, Darren Harris, Patrick Ngangba, Knipple. Come on, these names. Anyway,
is this BYU?
That's what I'm saying. I knew I should have had a whiskey before the show. I'm doing this straight sober. Of course it's going to sound fucking horrible. What the hell happened here, NC Nick? I want to ask you this first. I want to Mac and Noah's takes, but
we had a whole offseason pod on this, and really, the number looks like, oh man, what's going on? But a lot of them weren't playing that much, So Mark Mitchell struggled so much last year, especially towards the end of the year. His games in the NCAA tournament, go look at the box scores, awful. He was a major liability. I wish the best for him. I think he still has a bright future, but he needed a change of scenery. The only people that I really wanted to keep, Sean Stewart, I think, even though he played less than 10 minutes a game, I think he has a bright future. And then Jeremy Roach, because he was there for 4 years, but Roach wanted to play the point, and Shire had other plans. Roach says, and he's 6'2". He probably should play the point. If he's going to play pro ball, it's going to be as a point guard, not as a 2. So he wanted to play point. Shire had other plans. Shire had, either Proctor or Foster playing 1. So, it's big in numbers, but a lot of those guys are not going to be missed.
Yeah. Mac, what do you make of all that turnover?
I actually like their class, the portal class, because I think they got some guys that are more defensive guys and role guys. They didn't need to bring in any more star power with Cooper Flagg coming in. Proctor's back, Foster's back. I think they definitely will miss Roach's leadership. He's played in Elite 8. He's played in the Final 4. Duke will be right at the top of the ACC. I do agree with Nick. I don't think that they actually lost as much as maybe everybody makes it out to be. But I'm not as high as everybody else crowning them number 1 in the country, because I don't think in this era you can have a freshman be your best player. So I think they will. I think they'll go through some lumps, kind of like they did in December, January. But I think that they will be right at the top of the ACC again.
I haven't seen a whole lot of number 1s. I've seen more like between 5 to 10 or so.
And for what it's worth, this freshman is not like others. Like, he was literally practicing against Team USA, and he was like the 4th best player.
He said the same shit about Zion.
And that's what I was going to say is, you remember that circus that was around Zion? It's going to be the exact same thing with Duke this year. The media is going to be all over Duke, and I think it's for good reason. And there's going to be a lot of I would say casual viewers that are also tuning into Duke, and a lot of people that will get worn down by Duke. But I think this is a good team. The question I have for Nick specifically is I question the point guard here. I think Proctor was the third best guard on last year's team, and he's now it's him and Foster that are going to be kind of running the show alongside Flag, but they got to get him the ball.
No, I mean, that's a very fair question. One of the big questions last year was, could Proctor take a step up from his freshman to sophomore year? And the answer ultimately was no, he didn't. He was on NBA radars after his freshman year, and he had a pretty bad sophomore campaign. He just, I mean, inconsistent. That's all, especially on the offensive end. So that is one main question. Can he improve from a sophomore to his junior year? Or is he just going to be who he is? An inconsistent guy who you can't really rely on. So that's a very fair question. But I think this team in general, I mean, nobody's under 6'5". They're going to be one of the tallest and longest teams in the nation. They should be a very good defensive team. That's one thing where we won't miss Roach. Roach a little undersized, not a great defender. I think our perimeter defense is going to be better this year. And I think with Malawach and I mean, Flag is a great defender too. That's why I love him, is that he doesn't have to be a high usage guy. He doesn't always have to have the ball in his hands. He'll impact the game in rebounding, in defense, and block shots and putbacks. I'm really high on this team. I'm very excited, but they're going to have the same questions. Can you put together this many?
Flag's going to be incredible. And I think
Duke takes.
You could throw.
Yeah, what happened?
Flag's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you guys heard
and you'll
last,
be able to throw. Go ahead.
I'm not sure where I cut off there, but to Noah's point, the question does remain at point guard: can Proctor get better?
Flag's going to be incredible. You could throw four guys around him, anybody, and this team's going to have a really, really high floor. So that's my take overall on Duke.
Well, I know Q's number 44 in the chat saying those bastards stole Malik Brown from us. All right. And the chat is, what's great about when we do this is Duke is so NC Nick's like the Ric Flair of the college basketball experience, because he comes in with his pro Duke takes and everyone hates it. It reminds me of like when Flair would beat Hogan or something, and the whole crowd's disgusted. They're booing him.
Well, if you're a Duke fan, you're used to the haters, so bring it on.
There you go.
I love Duke. They're going to be paid this year with all those clowns that were sending me death threats. So I enjoyed the check from Elon Musk. Thank you, guys.
and you know what? You want to know how to schedule out of conference? Duke plays out of conference: Kentucky, Arizona, Kansas, Auburn, and Illinois. Bring it on. I can't wait for all these big time marquee matchups.
Hold on though.
They also played George Mason out of conference, my alma mater.
Oh yeah, I do like that. Can we do a little more home and home shit though?
Yeah, they do hit the road, right? They go to Arizona.
Yeah, thank God. But I'm saying not only Duke, but Duke. I would pose this question for Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State's, like a lot of these ones that always just play a shit ton of these.
They just play neutrals because it benefits both teams for the net instead of just one. So that's their excuse there.
I don't understand it, like, because you're like, we have Stanford in the ACC right now, so like, if you're trying to sell your package of what makes college basketball great, if you sit down and say what makes it great, it would be the home environments. Cameron Indoor Stadium, or seeing Duke go to Arizona, like that's awesome for the sport. I don't understand these little.
That Arizona at Duke game last year was a fantastic game.
That's what I'm saying. Shouldn't these execs, these TV execs, are just gutting the whole sport? Shouldn't they be like, wait, this is why it sells. This sells better.
But people still love Maui, Bahamas.
It's just too many of them these days, dude.
I do love the annual Duke game at MSG.
Yeah, but there's just too many of these neutral site things. These
get Duke UConn at MSG. That's what we got to get on the calendar.
For the record, before we get out, I'm on Colby's side. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I go through the schedules and I have a spreadsheet of them, and I'm just sitting there like, there's almost more neutral site games than there are home games in November, and I'm like, relax a little bit on this. We can play. You can play at your own fucking gymnasium, right? Pretty good. When I say pretty good, they're in my top 3. Surprise, surprise. Moving along. This
Top three
episode is going to be a long
ACC?
time. ACC.
Okay.
Next we go to Florida State. Leonard Hamilton's still alive, still doing it. Still having winning seasons as he cruised into a 17-16 season last year.
Barely.
Yeah, 10-10 in conference. All right, still winning. Athletic director goes to give him shit. He said, "I still had a winning season. You hired me to give you winning seasons." Here's a big problem though. A lot of the guys that I liked on this team a year ago, say, I don't know, Darren Green, gone. Cameron Fletcher heads out to Xavier. Josh Nickelberry got out of eligibility. Jalen Gainey out of eligibility. I mean, Baba Miller to Florida Atlantic. Primo Spears, who was at it. What? He is like Musa Cisse, dude. What the hell is going on? Wait, hold on. I remember him at Arizona State. Wait,
Georgetown.
I remember him at Georgetown. Wait, I remember Florida State. Now he's at the Roadrunners of UTSA. Buddy, maybe it ain't. Maybe it ain't the coach. All right, just an idea. So they lose him. They lose Deontay Green to South Florida. Cameron Corrin to Pitt. Tom House, great name, simple. I can say it. He heads out to Furman.
Unfortunately for him, there's a bigger Tom House though.
Yeah, it's true, but still, I like the more Tom Houses, the better for me. Jalen Warley heads out to Virginia. Now the incoming, they go out and brought in. I love this. They brought in a UTSA. It's like, oh, you're going to take Primo Spears? Well, we're taking Justin Thomas, you sandbagging sons of guns. All right. Jerry Dang also comes in from Hampton, and Boston Holt from South Dakota. They also brought in the top JUCO transfer in Malik Ewan. Ewan, is that Ewan? And Jameer Watkins is back, as well as they brought in another 4-star recruit in Daquan Davis that they're excited about. I mean, this team's going to be shitty. That's this is almost like Boston College, where I'm like, what are we looking at here? The whole team is gone. Any talent?
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, Jameer Watkins was a returning scorer and rebounder. Thank God he came back. But they lost their next 6 guys behind him in the rotation. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't think this team's going to be very good because I mean, who is good on this team that we know?
I think Chandler Jackson and Bull Bowen
Jameer
flashed some potential. Put him with Watkins. You know, I don't think they're going to make the NCAA tournament, basically, and that would be the 4th straight year missing out. And since Leonard Hamilton is now 76, I think this is his last year. I think Florida State probably moves on here.
I just look. I know Saudi Arabia State. What happened here though? Like they want to leave the conference, but how about you field a winner? I look at this. It looks like they phoned it in a little bit there. Am I crazy, Mac?
No, I mean, what? How can you be high on this team? And we talk about the ACC taking a couple steps back the last couple of years. Florida State's one of the big reasons. They were pumping out 22, 27 to 27 wins year after year because they were super old. They would get these guys that were giants. They would be super long and athletic. They just can't retain any of their roster. And Leonard's just not a portal NIL guy. I mean, they're 27-33 in the last 3 years in ACC play. I kind of think that they're going to be a bottom 5 or 6 team again, unfortunately, in this league.
Bieniek, where you at with these Saudi Arabia State Noles?
So in the last 3 years, which has been the rough stretch, the Noles have had the 11th, 13th, and 7th best defense in the ACC. All of them well below the standard that has been set in this program. Leonard Hamilton has formed his typical roster of trees. There is a lot of size on this Seminoles roster this year. They just lack experience. So this is a tough one for me to kind of place. If the Noles can get into that middle of the pack defensively like they were last year, I can see a similar output to last season. But if not, I think it could be a long year in Tallahassee that's looming.
Yeah.
It sucks to see him go out like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Good coach. Good coach. Maybe he surprises us.
I hope so.
All right, moving along. Damon Stoudemire, year 2. They were they were a hard team to understand last year. Absolutely hard team to understand. And they lose a lot of that team too. Kyle Sturdivant is out of eligibility. Same with Carter Murphy. And they lose Miles Kelly, who I like, to the Auburn Tigers, and Bruce Pearl. Also, Abrima Sacco to New Mexico. Tafara Gapare to Maryland. Dallin Coleman to UCF. Tyson Claude to North Carolina. Ebenezer Dewano to JMU. Amari Abram to La Tech. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Took some huge hits. Now they did bring in Ryan Mutombo. I'd like to say rest in peace to his father, and big Dikembe Mutombo fan back in the day. Classic moment with the Nuggets and Sonics, and seemed like a great guy. Never met him, but seemed like a great guy there. So love and condolences to his family there. So they bring in Ryan Mutombo from Georgetown. They bring in Duncan Powell from Sac State. I think the big ones though is Luke O'Brien from Colorado. I was surprised he transferred out of Colorado, to tell you the truth. I didn't understand that one. Javian McCullum also transfers in from Oklahoma. And they bring back a couple guys that were good for them. Ndongo, the forward, and also Nathan George, as well as Kawasi Reeves. So I actually kind of think this is a talented team. They also get Lance Terry back. So and 3 4-stars are coming in. I think this team actually, like, my thing is, like, is Damon Stoudemire like a legit good coach? We don't know this yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, because even when he was at Pacific, I don't know that I was all the way sold. But I can tell you this, as far as like talent, they seem to be decently talented. Am I crazy, Mac?
No, I mean they definitely have talent. They had talent last year, and they were old. But the jury is out on Stoudemire. He had a losing record at Pacific. He had a losing record in WCC play. I was kind of stunned when he got the Georgia Tech job. I was even more stunned when they beat Duke. They beat Carolina. They beat Clemson. They were just a hard team to figure out. But I think they kind of are what they were at the end of the day: 14-18, 7-13 in league play. I think that it's still a bottom tier team in the ACC.
Nick, where you at with these Yellow Jackets?
I'm a bit higher on Georgia Tech, actually. I wish I had a little bit more faith in Stoudemire, because then I would be even more higher. But I mean, they did have an experienced team to a degree last year, but their 2 best players were freshmen, and that's Georgia point guard and the big man Ndongo. So the fact that now, and they played really well last year, the fact that now they're sophomores, you have to love that 1-2 combo. And I like bringing in McCullum and Kawasi Reeves coming over from Florida a couple years ago. He's been in college basketball for a long time. I actually like the roster. I think the roster is pretty good, especially if those freshmen from last year could make that jump up. I think Georgia Tech could be a little bit of a sleeper in the ACC. I wish I had more faith in Stoudemire. Then I would be all over him.
Are they a tournament team, Nick?
That's tough to say that. I think they could be on the bubble. So I would say maybe. I'm certainly not going to say they're definitely going to be in the tournament.
Bieniek, what do you make of these Yellow Jackets?
NC Nick took a lot of my notes. They returned 3 starters. They add the bucket getter and Javian McCollum. And I think Nathan George is going to be able to, aid him in a way, because last year George averaged 4.7 assists per game. And I think that really opens up McCollum, because last year Porter Moser at Oklahoma brought McCollum in to play the point from Siena, and he was just a little bit of a smaller body in the Big 12, and he wasn't able to deal with a lot of the physicality in the Big 12. And I think he's going to form a really good wing duo alongside Kawasi Reeves, who averaged 10 and 4, shot at 38.3% from deep. It's a smaller roster when it comes to size and depth, so that is what nerves me a little bit here, alongside with Stoudemire being the head man. But I'm going to be a little bit bullish on Georgia Tech this year compared to others as well.
All right, we'll see. We'll see if this works out. I mean, the roster, the talent is there. I will say that. I think it's one of the more talented rosters. Moving along, let's go over to Pat Kelsey, Louisville.
Get a whiskey for this roster.
Good God.
Yeah, there we go.
So instead of me saying everyone left and going through, everyone did leave.
The entire roster. And
the whole roster's gone. There's not one player back. So if you saw the roster last year, those guys are gone, including their big time recruit there, Sky Clark, who's now at UCLA. And Brandon,
he was an Illinois recruit first.
Yeah, but he was like a 4 or 5 star, wasn't he?
He was a big one.
Yeah. So yeah, they're all gone. Whole team's gone. Pat Kelsey comes in though, and Pat Kelsey, obviously is proven to be a decent head coach, and he goes out and he brings in a slew of guys. Chucky Hepburn from Wisconsin, that was a big get. Terrence Edwards from JMU, Boubacar Traore. How do I pronounce that? From Long Beach State. He was good on Long Beach State last year. Cassine Pryor from South Florida, who could play.
He was my boy.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They loaded up, man. Also brought in James Scott from Charleston, who obviously Pat Kelsey was familiar with. Javon Hadley from Colorado. Once again, another surprising one that he left Colorado. Noah Waterman from BYU. Corin Johnson from Washington, another Charleston transfer, and Raina Smith.
Rain.
There's that. Yeah, Rain. Okay. And a Georgia transfer, and Frank Anselm eBay
at Syracuse before that.
Yeah, and Ali Khalifa also transferred in, but he is redshirting. Same with Kobe Rogers. So
Khalifa's a dude that's like, he looks like he's like 45, right?
Yeah.
Rec league guy.
Why is he redshirting? Is he injured?
He got injured at the end of the year. I think it's his Achilles or knee. It's something with his leg.
Look, I think this is just a major upgrade. The roster's got some guys, man. I mean, you look at it, they brought in 6 guys that averaged over double digits last season. And if you add Chucky Hepburn, who we know is a veteran, it's like almost like 7 guys. Then I think this team is going to surprise and be, energetic. And I think the crowd is going to be so happy that they actually have a team that you want to cheer for. They're not. Remember that guy wouldn't play because of his shorts.
Tyler Johnson. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get to him because he transferred to Wake.
That's right.
I mean, I kind of think like they could be a really dangerous team because I just think the energy around the program is different. Mac, what do you make of these cards?
Yeah, so I like Louisville, and common theme. ACC's been down the last couple of years. This is the reason. Louisville is a top program all time in college basketball. This program was a joke under Kenny Payne. Got rid of him. Thank God. They bring in Hepburn. They bring in Edwards. They bring in Pryor. They bring in guys that all played in the NCAA tournament last year. Wisconsin, Long Beach, JMU, South Florida was right there. They won their league. Charleston, BYU, Colorado. So guys that were on winning teams. Kelsey at each stop has taken a year to get it going, but that was before the portal. I think he gets it going and he wins right away at Louisville. I think this team is going to be in Dayton. This is like a team that screams that's in that last 4 in Dayton game right away. I like this team at year 1 of Pat Kelsey. It'll be good to see what do they call it? The Yum Center. Get that thing rocking and rolling again. No more empty seats in that place.
Am I crazy to think I know Georgia Tech has the more talented roster on paper, but I almost feel like I would trust Louisville more than Georgia Tech this year.
No doubt, because of Kelsey.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they have the more talented roster on paper.
Yeah.
I think Louisville's roster on paper is pretty good. I think the bigger question is how do they all come together since they never played basketball together. But the coaching upgrade right away is night and day difference, so that's going to benefit them a lot. I like the roster. I think I'm lockstep with you guys and Rob in the chat here. I think they could make the NCAA tournament this year, and I think Louisville could be back.
I think they will make the NCAA tournament this year. Bieniek, am I crazy or are we crazy? What are we thinking?
Yeah, I'm struggling with this Louisville team. I'm going to have to tap the brakes on the excitement. I've loved what Pat Kelsey's done with Charleston lately, but at the same time, College of Charleston has been a really good spot for coaches. It's no surprise that he had a lot of success at Charleston. Kelsey has always had premier talent compared to other rosters in the Big South and the CAA. So now the playing field has been leveled, and I'm very hesitant to buy into this team. Mac mentioned that they were all winners, that most of them played in the NCAA tournament last year, but they're still filled with up transfers, and the point guard's Chucky Hepburn. watching a lot of Big Ten basketball, he is a mixed bag every single night. You never know what you're going to get from Hepburn. And with all the rumors of what this kid brought in through the NIL side of the transfer portal, I think there could be some Miami kind of conversations with the whole life wallet thing a couple of years ago. There's a lot of pressure in this first season for Louisville. A lot of money went into this roster, and I'm not sure if the Cardinals will be able to live all the way up to it.
That's fair.
Really, I like this.
Dude, whenever your total roster is new, I mean, who knows how it's going to work out.
But if there was a university that just needed it, like just the energy and feel, but that's why I buy into it this year. Is like, I just feel like positive energy is it's going to be contagious.
Which Kelsey's great for that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Jerome Tang, year one at K-State, and Otzelberger, year one at Iowa State. Like, proud
but
program,
I feel like
just been in the dump, and then he comes over, hauls the whole thing over, and the fans buy in right away.
But I feel like the expectations on this Louisville team are much, much higher than a Kansas State team 2 years ago.
That is fair.
They were picked like borderline last in the Big 12 that year, and then they surprised. This Louisville team's not surprising anybody.
That is very true.
All right, moving along this 50-team conference. Next, we go to the likes of the Miami Hurricanes. Hey, we get a birdies. Hey, who's older? How old is Jimmy Larinaga? I was going to say him or Leonard Hamilton.
Larinaga's 74, so Leonard's got Jimmy a little bit. 2 years.
That's a comedy movie right there. Both of them at the old folks' home. Talking about staggered screens. Okay, help me out here on this one because I want to buy in. I'm a Jimmy Larinaga guy.
Yeah.
But we ate shit with them last year. And when I look, I guess maybe the chemistry was off because they lose Tashawn George to the NBA, right? Or he goes pro. And Norchad O'Meara transfers out to Baylor. Wooga Poplar transfers out to Villanova. Bensley Josephs to Providence. And a slew of other guys after that. Christian Watson to Southern Miss. Like they lost some major guys from a year ago. Now they still have Nigel Pack, who allegedly took a big bag of cash to transfer over from K-State a while ago. Matthew Cleveland, who was another transfer that came in from FSU. And then these scumbags go out and they take my guy, Brandon Johnson from ECU. Look, buddy, I know you sit there and you think South Florida, South Beach, all that bullshit. It's not Greenville. Greenville's much nicer. It's much better. There's no McAllisters there in South Beach. So they bring in Brandon Johnson. What are you doing? Making bad decisions. Fade this team. Lynn Kidd also comes in from Virginia Tech. He played well for the Hokies last year. AJ Staten McCray from Sanford, another guy played well. Jalen Blackman as well from Stetson. He does this every year, I feel like. He also brings in Yusuf Basa Ama from Yale and Kyrie Huey from Idaho State, the Bengals. And then a 5-star recruit in Jalil Bethea that everyone's excited about, as well as a 4-star recruit in Austin. May the Schwartz be with you.
And may the Schwartz be with you. What a world.
What a world is correct, because I have no idea. Like, part of me is like, he's starting to lose his way. He's 70. Like, do kids really pay attention to a 75-year-old guy? And then part of me is like, hey, there's some talent on this roster. I ultimately, I feel better about Louisville, and I think I even feel better about Georgia Tech than I do Miami. I don't think that's shocking to say that, but Mac, where you at with these Canes?
Yeah, so I ate shit on them 2 years ago. I was all over them coming back last year because I felt like they overachieved back-to-back years with their Elite Eight and Final Four. And stay tuned, there'll be another team that we'll talk about that we think overachieved a little bit last year that I know Colby wants to fade. I kind of think they're going to be somewhere in the middle. I think O'Meara's a big loss. And I also just don't know. there was a scene of Larinaga that one game, just like, hey, you guys coach yourselves, and he just sat on the bench.
On the stool.
And I don't know the dynamic with the NIL if he's the right guy. As great, I mean, I love Larinaga. I grew up going to Jimmy Larinaga basketball camps, but I just don't know if this is his kind of era. So I think they're somewhere in the middle of the pack. I'm not going to buy into Miami right away.
Nick?
I'm gonna put faith. I'm gonna put faith in Larinaga and say last year,
Mason grad putting faith in Jimmy Larinaga.
Hey, last year was the aberration, and that's portal basketball. Sometimes the pieces fit, everything's great, and sometimes they don't. And that was last year with Miami. So that meant they lost their last 10 games of the season. You could tell he hated that team. But a lot of those guys are gone now. So I think they're going to have to rely on that 5-star freshman, Jalil Bethea, and some of those up transfers. But I think the nucleus is there with Pat, Cleveland, and I'm a big Lynn Kidd fan. I think that's a good get from Virginia Tech and Brandon Johnson from ECU. So it's going to be that usual. I mean, they're not going to be deep at all. They're going to play a lot of small ball here. But I'm going to say that last year was the aberration and that he hasn't lost his touch just yet. So I'm going to have them towards the top of the conference.
So tournament team, huh?
I think so.
All right.
Boy, they won the league 2 years ago, 14th last year. Split the difference, 7th for me.
There you go. Bieniek, where are you at with these Canes down there in South Beach?
On paper, I like what Miami has to offer, actually. You bring back Nigel Pack, who, sure, there's been there's only one ball issues with Miami since Pack has joined the Canes, but he'll get you a bucket whenever you need one, and Wooga Poplar's not back there in the backcourt this year. Alongside Pack, there are 3 other seniors in the projected starting 5 to support one of the best freshmen coming in the country, Jalil Bethea. So it's going to allow the kid to, grow with this team, and I think this team's gonna have a really high ceiling come March. Plus, they actually have a true rim protector this year in Lynn Kidd. I would kind of disagree with Mac. Losing Omir, I don't think is too much of an impact. Kidd is going to be a true rim protector that Miami just hasn't had in recent years. So I like this Miami team just a little bit more than the last 2.
That was a guy that gave him a double-double on a Final Four team. Guy they can throw the ball to on the block to get a bucket.
Yeah, but the defense was iffy on most nights.
The days of
a very good defensive team.
The days of Steve Edwards and Constantine Popa might be behind them, right? Wait, I'm joking. Their Final Four team is their best team, but yeah, I don't know. They're a hard read for me. I think I have them as like fringe tournament team. Like they're sitting on the bubble, needing some wins. Could get in, could not. Somewhere around there. Moving along. We jump over to the likes of the Pussy Pack. Yes, NC State. Let's be honest. You had a magical run. Yeah, have fun with that. You had a nice little run, but something good came out of that. Yeah, extended Kevin Keatts, which means back to being mediocre and
Colby's calling this one good. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Shocker.
This was perfect. This was absolutely perfect. It's the one thing that needed to happen. Now, sure, I didn't need a Final Four. It could have been a Elite 8 or Sweet 16, and then but I'll give you a couple bullshit wins to feel good about yourself. Because guess what? Not only this is just perfect. Guess what? DJ Horn is gone. DJ Burns is gone. Nunnally is gone. Casey Morsel is gone.
DJ Burns would have been your favorite player in college basketball last year if he was on any other school.
You got to think about your decisions you're making. Are you going to piss off Dundee? That should be considered. MJ Rice also left the team. Same with Ernest Ross. Mohamed Dara is gone as well. And then this is what I love. Coach's son's on the team. Please fade this team. KJ Keatts gets a spot at the table. Now they did go out and bring in Brandon Huntley Hatfield from Louisville. They do still have Ben Middlebrooks and Michael O'Connell, who played so well, and same with Jaden Taylor. They also bring in Dontre Styles. How many schools has he been at? Wasn't he at Rutgers, then Georgetown, and then Good God.
Is it UNC or is it? I thought it was UNC.
Oh yeah, it was UNC. It was UNC. It was UNC. Michael James. They took half of Louisville's roster here, coming in from Louisville. Also, one of my favorite gets was from the Louisville, not the Naval Academy, the Louisville University, in Canada. Ismail Douaf. I don't fucking know.
It's French.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
Douche.
yeah, exactly. They also brought in Marcus Hill, who was a baller at Bowling Green. Look, you're not going to be able to catch this lightning. You just extended him. The joke is on you, Pussy Pack. Fade this team. They're going to be a disappointment like they traditionally are under Kevin Keatts. NC Nick, you live in Raleigh. You know how pathetic these guys are. What's going to happen here?
Well, I circled the name Mohamed Diarra, who left to go pro and went undrafted. He was really playing good basketball second half of the year. I think if he came back, this team was going to be that much better. But I like what they did roster wise. If you look at Michael O'Connor, 5th-year point guard now, just rock solid. He's the one that hit that game winner against UVA, which started the streak of 9 wins in 19 days.
Garbage.
And then Jaden Taylor, when DJ Horn was hurt, he came in and dropped over 20, 3 out of 4 games. So I think he's ready to emerge as a scoring threat. And I think Marcus Hill was a great get in the portal. So I think the guard play is going to be fine. Middlebrooks is the guy I hate most in college basketball. I can't stand that guy. And then
who's he related to that they keep showing?
Danny Cannell. Danny Cannell, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the 2 Louisville transfers, are they winners? How are they going to fit in? Huntley Hatfield's a pretty good player, but how's that going to mesh? I would say that you're right. I mean, I don't think people should expect a Final Four run. I think this team struggles early, but I think they could make a late push to at least get into bubble consideration.
Buddy, they are not sniffing the bubble. Are you kidding me? Mac, talk some sense into this guy.
Well, they weren't on the bubble last year. They won the tournament.
2 years ago they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they got in. They are who we thought they were before that streak last year. They were 17-14 team before the magical 10-game run where they won 10 straight games outright as a dog. Just like Miami the year before, Cinderella run. The next year you fade them. NC State, I think, will be just like last year. I think they'll be just a little bit over 500, but no, I do not have them going back to the dance. I'm going to fade them this year. Kevin Keatts, outside of his first year in Raleigh, has finished 8th, 6th, 9th, 15th, 6th, and 10th. He was 10th in the ACC last year. I think he's right around that 8 to 10 mark again.
Bieniek?
I'm going to sit probably in the middle of you 3. Look, Kevin Keatts has had a good offense. 5 of the 7 years he's been there, top 50 nationally. When they actually play defense is when the teams are actually good. And that's what I have the toughest part about trying to read this roster is whether they're going to be good at defense or not, because they do have Middlebrooks, who was the better defender than DJ Burns last year. And now he's going to be the true 5 for most of the time. And with an expanded role last year, he only played 16 minutes. He averaged 5.5 and 4.5. You add another 15 minutes to that, he might turn into close to a double-double guy. But like Nick said with Michael O'Connell, there is some potential there with him too. I am going to need to see it to believe it with Keatts, though, is what I'm going to say. Is I don't think that they're going to be necessarily in the basement like Mac and Colby might predict, but I think they're a bottom half team, just maybe with a slightly higher ceiling than some others.
I said
middle. What's that?
I said middle of the pack.
Yeah,
8 to 10.
I said pussy pack.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about their crosstown rivals. The North Carolina Tar Heels. Hubert Davis, 29-8 a year ago, 17-3 in the All Coast Conference. RJ Davis back for his 20th year. Seth Trimble back. How long has Seth Trimble been in college? I feel like he's been in a couple of years, right?
No, not long. I don't think.
Really?
I think you're thinking of somebody else.
Yeah.
No.
I think he was.
The guy from Maryland.
Yeah.
Maybe I
wasn't he recruit like 2 years ago? I think this is his third year, Trimble.
Yeah, and last year was the first year where he actually got some minutes.
Yeah, maybe I'm confusing him. Jalen Withers back. Remember he was at Louisville, wasn't he?
Yes,
he was at Louisville a couple years ago, right? They go out in the portal. They get Ty Claude from Georgia Tech. Disgusting. Come on. You're in the ACC. You don't need to go over to the evil side of things. Cade Tyson comes in from Belmont, and then Van Allen Lubin from Vanderbilt. But I think the big thing here is, yes, Lubin is a projected starter. The big thing is the class that's coming in, much like Duke. Elliot Cadeau comes in
second year.
Second year. I'm sorry, but wait, I thought Ian Jackson's who I'm thinking of. That was the 5-star, and they also are bringing in Drake Powell and living in America. James Brown coming in. 3 top 100 recruits. That's the real story there. Now, yes, they lost a couple guys. Obviously, Harrison Ingram, Cormac Ryan, Armando Bacot. They lost they took some hits. But who are we kidding? That class coming in with a mix of those veterans, they're going to be at the top of the ACC, unfortunately. Nick, talk shit about him, right?
Much like DR of State. I mean, the Ingram going pro to get drafted in the second round, that was a huge loss. UNC is an interesting team here, though. I mean, they didn't go out and get splash players in the portal. I still think they
whiffed a couple of times in the portal.
Yeah. Who was the one that they were one of the big names that they were going after? I forget who now.
They were going after a couple of big men.
I'm just gonna leave big men. Right. I mean, so you lose Bacot and Ingram, your front court from last year. So that's Van Allen Lubin. I think he's a solid player, but nothing special. And then you're relying on Washington or Withers to take a big step up, which can they? Maybe. The big question too is Elliot Cadeau. I mean, he was a good point guard last year, but at this basketball for point guard, you have to be able to hit a 3-pointer. He shot 18% from 3. I mean, players would just let him shoot. They wouldn't even go anywhere out near him. And you need to space the floor if you're a point guard. So he has to improve his 3-point shooting.
What you got to do is you got to make shots.
So I think this is a rock solid team, but I think their ceiling's a bit limited.
Yeah. Mac, I mean, they're still going to be top 3. Who are we kidding?
Yeah.
They're still going to be top 3. Mac, what's your thoughts on the Tar Heels?
Yeah, so what they finished 2 years ago? 7th? Yeah, I don't think they're going to be that bad. I do think they're definitely going to take a step back. They did bring back RJ Davis, but they'll miss Bacot. They took some hits on the interior. He mentioned it. They're going to miss Ingram as well. Maybe though, for a school like North Carolina, getting a couple of guys under the radar isn't the end of the world. Sometimes they were too high profile 2 years ago with the Davis and Love duo there that ended poorly. But I mean, a guy like Tyson coming over from Belmont, Lubin coming over from Vanderbilt. I'm interested to see this team. I don't think they're going to win the ACC though.
Bieniek, and by the way, rest in peace to the great Joe Wolf, who recently passed away. The Tar Heel great. Bieniek, you are bullish on these Tar Heels, aren't you?
No, I'm actually kind of bearish. They do have RJ Davis coming back, which we haven't mentioned him yet, so I'll do that. That's my one positive about the roster. 21 points per game, 3.5 boards, 3.5 assists, over a steal per game. Like, he did a little bit of everything, and not only was just ball dominant, but he contributed all over the floor and shot 40% from deep.
You know what else he did is he went 4 from 20 from the field against Bama and 0 for 9 from 3. Just throw it out there.
Nick had that beat up. He was ready for it, waiting for it.
What's that smell? You stink.
There we go. And yeah, my concerns are pretty similar to Nick. You don't have a shooting point guard in Cadeau, and they're going to need him to step up offensively because we'll see what Ian Jackson can provide for this team. And I'm not high on the front court. Van Allen Lubin playing for Vanderbilt, taking a huge step up here over to North Carolina. They have big shoes to fill after losing Ingram, Bacot, and Cormac Ryan was a guy that was often overlooked. I mean, he was money from 3. So this team has a lot to replace, and I don't think they did a good enough job doing it. yeah, I think this is a limited ceiling to what Colby was talking about earlier.
There we go. I mean, I still think they're going to be top 3, but yeah, I got you. All right, folks, moving along to the next team, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish just landed a huge recruit the other day too. Shout out to Micah Shrewsbury. What's that?
2.
Oh, I don't know that I saw the second one. But you know, I did like this hire. Now, obviously 13-20 in year 1. I'm not going to panic. 7-13 in the ACC, tied for 12th. They got Braden Shrewsbury. All right, he's back. Nothing like having the family lineage. Marcus Burton is back as well. They go out and get Princeton transfer Matt Alico. That's a nice get for them.
Yes.
Tay Davis also back. I mean, they return a lot. You want to talk about continuity? This team's got a ton of continuity. They only bring in 3 transfers from Princeton, Monmouth, and Lehigh.
They returned the most minutes from last season, 86% of them.
Yeah. I mean, they lose Kerry Booth, who transferred to Illinois. That's the son of Calvin Booth, the former Washington Bullet. Matt Zona transferred out to Fordham as well. So they lost to those guys, but yeah, I'm intrigued to see this team. I actually think this is a team. I'm not going to say they're going to compete for a championship, but I am very intrigued to see what they become in year 2. I think they're going to be a lot chippier. I still got them like middle of the pack though. Mac, what do you make of the Irish?
Yeah, so they finished strong, man, and I love the Shrewsbury hire as well. I mean, we backed them multiple times in February as a dog. They won 5 out of 6 in the month of February. You like to see that from a first-year head coach. Bring back by far the most continuity in this league, and Shrewsbury won at Penn State, got him to the dance, comes over to Notre Dame. I think this is a bubble team. I think they're going to take another step here with this young core from last year.
NC Nick, your thoughts on that? Are the Irish a bubble team to you?
It could be. I think, yeah. So them and Georgia Tech are my 2 dark horses. You know, conference play, you guys kind of spoke around it, but so the first 10 games in conference play, they're 1-9.
I was just about to say,
yeah, the last 10 games, 2-4. So, I mean, they're playing so much better towards the second half of the year, and their backcourt was true freshmen last year with Burton and Shrewsbury. You got to assume they're going to be so much better in year 2. So the guys they lost, they can deal without Booth and Zona. You know, not too critical there. So I like Notre Dame to keep on progressing, take that next step, and that might be, NCAA tournament berth.
Bieniek, I got a feeling you're high on the Irish too, huh?
I mean, both Mac and Nick kind of took a lot of what I'll say, or what I wanted to say. I'll add this. Look, the addition of Matt Alico, I think, is going to go farther than some might think. He's a grad senior with NCAA tournament experience, and just the veteran presence in general in that backcourt will help Marcus Burton, who started to blossom into a star at the end of last year, and then Micah Shrewsbury, who can shoot. I think that's going to go a long way for the Fighting Irish this season.
Yeah, they're, I think, one of the more exciting teams to watch this year. Next, we go to the Pitt Panthers. This is going to be fun. Jeff Capel, 22-11, 12-8 in the conference in 4th place. They finished. And I will say this, you got to think bringing back some of the guys that they do, like Leggett and Lowe, the backcourt. They add Damian Dunn, who I once was a big fan of at Temple. He didn't hit as well as I thought he would hit at Houston, but nice get there for Damian Dunn coming into the party. They also return a slew. I mean, they're some of their bigs, Diaz Graham and Zach Austin back. I'm sorry, both Diaz Grahams and Zach Austin back. They went out and got Cameron Corrin from Florida State. Disgusting. But I will say one of the Diaz Graham brothers is out for the season, and that is Jorge. So that could be a bit of a hit there. They did lose.
He played less than Guillermo for last season, just for the audience to know which one it was.
But losing Federico to Texas Tech is a hit. Carlton Carrington also going pro, as well as William Jeffries going to La Tech. Michael Hewitt also left the team, and then Blake Hinson was finally out of eligibility. So I'm intrigued because I do think like that the guard play could be pretty darn good. I worry about depth though. They're gonna have depth. I think they take a little step back this season. NC Nick, you are a Jeff Capel guy. What do you make of these Pitt Panthers before we give the reins to Moneyline Mac?
No, I tend to agree with you. I think losing Henson and Bub Carrington is going to be too much. They're going to sorely miss those guys. Other than that, I think the roster is pretty average. So I don't see them dancing this year.
Noah, you can get your shot in before we go to.
The one positive of this team is they returned the third most minutes from a season ago in the ACC. Surprisingly, 50% of the minutes do return, but I think they took big hits in losing Carrington and Henson. The ceiling of this team relies on Guillermo Diaz-Graham, because last year Henson was able to break games because he was a stretch forward that could drill threes from half court. Diaz-Graham isn't really going to provide you that, but he is going to be able to spread the floor. They could go 5 out whenever they want, and Ish Leggett is going to have plenty of space to roam. That's, I think, when if this team can hit their ceiling. But overall, I'm not too high on this team.
Well, the Mr. Pitt Panther not high on his team. All right, Mac, tell me why they're going to go winless in the whole season. Actually, not even the.
Oh, you mean like they did under Kevin Stallings? That was a great year when they went 0-18. You don't think I forgot that? The backyard brawl is 6 weeks away, but who's counting? Pitt's got to take a step back. They've overachieved the last couple of years. They lose Henson, who kind of was their. Whenever they needed a big play, make a big shot, Henson was there. They lose Carrington, who was a lottery pick. They lose one of the Diaz. I know it's not the better of the two twins, but at the same time, it's a depth piece. And they lose Federico, who's a rim protector. So a lot of question marks. Capel's done a good job of getting off the hot seat because, 2 years ago, he was a dead man walking, it felt like, headed into year 5. Back-to-back top 4 finishes in the ACC. I'm not going to say they're in the bottom as much as I would love to. But I kind of think they're in that NC State category.
Wow. Okay.
Middle.
Just surprised that he went kind of soft on him. I feel like the
fuck is that?
It's season yet.
Yeah. All right, moving along. We jumped down to SMU. Andy Infield done cruising along that 405, sitting in that traffic, coming home and having homeless people shit on his lawn. He says, I'm out of here, going to Dallas. Interesting hire. I think this is one of the more interesting stories in college basketball this year. They went out and first they bring back Chuck Harris, right, who was the formerly at Butler, right, and then they bring in a slew of transfers. Matt Cross from UMass, previously from Florida, I believe, if memory serves me correct. Kevin Miller from Wake Forest. Cario Oquendo from Oregon, who played pretty good there. Johan Traore from UC Santa Barbara. And they brought in some California guys. AJ George from Long Beach State, Tibet Gorner from San Jose State, and Tim Miles, Jarrell Colbert from Kansas State. All these guys coming in, but that's because their whole team left as well. Samuel Williamson finally graduated. Zurich Phelps, who was one of their better players, heads out to the buzzsaw at Texas A&M. And then a slew of other guys. Tyreek Smith heads out to Memphis with Penny Hardaway. Denver England heads out to Rice. Same with a lot of them following coach to Rice. Lanier landed the job there with the Owls, and Emory Lanier, Tyreek Smith, and not Tyreek Smith. Denver England and Jalen Smith all went to follow coach. Xavier Foster also went to Radford. And a slew of other transfers as well that happened. But I'm intrigued. I think this is one of the more interesting teams in the conference, because when you put it on paper, I'm like, they're not horrible. I'm I kind of think they're middle of the road, but I think they could be just an interesting team to watch night in, night out. They could be better than what I think. They could be worse than I think. I have a hard time truly getting a grasp on the Mustangs. Mac, how about you?
Yeah, I like the talent. I think it's an interesting group. They're bringing in a lot of guys, whether it's Miller from Wake Forest, Unquintu, or however you pronounce it. You got Cross coming in as well. Traora coming over from Santa Barbara. Another team I kind of just am going to throw in the middle of the pack. I need to see it from Enfield at SMU. And Noah makes a good point. Like maybe they're the ones that kind of get hit by the travel because they don't really have a travel partner and they're going east, west. They're all over the place. So I don't know. Middle of the pack.
This is the hardest team so far.
To counter on that, I think it's the toughest place to travel to. If SMU's on a road trip, they'll be in the Carolinas. They'll be in the Northeast. They'll be out west. It's just when you're going to SMU, you're only playing SMU within a 8-hour radius.
Is Dallas hard to travel to? I mean, it's 1 hour behind.
No. It's not hard to travel to. I'm just saying it's like the toughest place to travel from in the ACC because
they just have no close.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody.
Yeah. Nick, you said SMU is going to contend?
No, not at all. I'm kind of down on this team. It took Andy Enfield till year 3 at USC. Granted, there's a portal now, but I don't necessarily like what they did in the portal. I think, Boopy Miller coming from Wake, he started off last year good, but he really struggled in conference play. Very undersized. He was at Central Michigan 2 years ago. And the other guys, I mean, Chuck Harris he's a retread from Butler, who was kind of average at Butler. So, I don't see. I mean, they lost 3 of the top 4 players. I don't really see the star here. I don't see the great scoring options. I'm kind of down on SMU. I think they're towards the bottom of the league.
Wow. Okay. George Bush and his blood money. Take that, President former George W. All right. Where the hell is my sound drop here?
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Stanford, Kyle Smith.
I'm not quite buying into SMU either.
My bad.
Saudi Arabia Tech's transfer portal. I really like some of the guys as individual pieces, but like Nick mentioned, Boopy Miller comes in from Wake Forest wanting to be the man because Wake Forest had a couple of really good guys back there. Is my Wi-Fi good?
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Okay.
I forgot. Yeah,
cool. So meanwhile, Chuck Harris, he could want to run the show now with Zurich Phelps leaving. And then you also have some mid-major front court stars coming in with Matt Cross and Johan Traore. So I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed once again for an SMU team that gives me some pause here in the preseason. I'm going to probably judge them in November and December before I feel a little bit better about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're one of the hardest teams to understand in this conference. So Stanford might be the other one because Kyle Smith's in year 1 and the whole team now Kyle Smith, I know this doesn't sound like him, but this was him.
And you know what? I'm jacked about another opportunity. Let's go. Now, I met with the team. There is no team.
For this to happen at Stanford, it's crazy. I mean, James Keefe, the son of Adam Keefe, Stanford legend, is gone. Jared Bynum, former Providence guard, is gone. Michael Jones, Spencer Jones, gone. And then some of their better players from a year ago transferred, like Brandon Angle, that headed out to the Oregon Ducks. Stojakovic to Cal, we talked about him. Kanan Carlisle to Indiana. Max Morrell to UC Santa Barbara. So they lose some big time guys there. Now they do go out to Virginia and bring in Cole Kastner, not Kevin Costner, Cole Kastner, Virginia lacrosse star who's playing. This is great. It's Kyle Smith scouting the lacrosse team at Virginia. Jalen Blakes comes in from Duke. Uzziah Sellers from USC. Chisholm Okpara from Harvard. And Darian Saran from UC Irvine, the Anteaters there. Yeah, I have a lot of questions with this team. I don't think they're going to be very good. They are towards the back half with me, but I also admit that the whole team's gone. So
Maxime Renault is back.
Thankfully.
yeah. That's true. That's like the only solid, but I mean, he's in a brand new system too, though. I don't know what the hell this is. This is like SMU. This is why you just sit there and say,
I think SMU is more talented.
Yeah, they are.
I think besides Reynolds, I mean, right now they have Jalen Blake's penciled in as a starter. I've watched him for 3 years at Duke. He should not be starting in the ACC. Yeah. So right now, like I mean, Kyle Smith is a good coach, but it's going to take some time. And this roster is not a roster that's going to win you a bunch of games in a good league. So I think they're going to struggle.
Mac, where you at on the cards?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm a big Kyle Smith guy. I kind of think what Notre Dame was last year, where they just didn't have the dudes to hang with some of these teams. But I think coaching matters in February a lot. And I think Kyle Smith will pull some wins out of his ass come February. But I mean, this is a team you're looking at to play for a bye game because they're beatable. They just they don't have the roster that some of these other teams have.
Yeah. Noah, where you at with Stanford here?
I couldn't have said it any better than Mac, honestly. So I'm not going to add too much. Darren Saran, projected point guard, only played 19 minutes for UC Irvine last year. That's rough. Like Mac said, this is a team that you're going to look to hit one of these big money lines on early on the year. Denver, Fullerton, Northern Arizona, which could be the one. UC Davis is also up there, and same with Norfolk State. Santa Clara is actually going to be laying points according to Torvik. Same with Grand Canyon. So they're definitely going to have 2 losses coming out of November, in my opinion.
All right, let's jump on over to the Qs. Adrian Autry, former player at Syracuse. Now this one's interesting to me. Did you lose? I know we were talking about it in the chat, losing Malik Brown, Judah Mintz, lost some other guys, Copeland to McNeese State, Will Wade getting that, coming in and taking some talent. But I'm intrigued. I thought this was one of the more interesting teams here. Eddie Lampkin Jr. balled out in the NCAA tournament with Colorado. He comes in as his 30th year of college. Jaquan Carlos comes in from Hofstra. Jair Davis from Delaware. And don't forget Chance Westry from Auburn, who was injured. Lucas Taylor from Georgia State. They get Naheem McLeod back from injury. You mix that with some returning productions like JJ Starling and Chris Bell. I mean, this is one where I could buy in a little bit. That I mean, he's got to prove it to me that he's a good coach, but like, I kind of think the roster's in decent shape. I kind of think they're going to be an upper half team. I'm kind of bullish on Syracuse. I mean, despite the coaching questions. Mac, your thoughts on the Qs?
Interesting team. It's another one that I'm kind of torn on. Obviously, last year transition going from the 2-3 zone for the last 40 years to man under Autry. So I don't know. Lampkin, he's been up and down in his career. Freeman's going to be talented. They bring back Starling and Bell. I could see them jumping up into maybe fringe top half league, half of the league team, but I don't think this is an NCAA tournament team.
I think they could be. I think
they're an NIT team.
Nick, what do you make of the Qs?
I'm not as high as you guys are. I think the loss of Judah Mintz is going to really hurt. I mean, he was a baller. He was their leader. JJ Starling's a fine second guy in the backcourt. I don't think he's going to take over and be like their star. Eddie Lampkin Jr. I mean, I think we got to be worried about these like triple transfers, the guys that go from school to school to school.
Especially one that leaves the school in the middle of the year.
Yeah. And I don't know if Adrian Autry is a good coach. I don't know if he's the right guy for the job. It's still too early to tell. I'm not trying to throw him completely under the bus, but I think Syracuse struggles, and I think they're middle of the pack or maybe, bottom half of the league.
Wow. Okay. Bieniek, what do you think about this? The Qs?
I'm hem and hawing. This is a tough read for me here. I do like Wakan Carlos coming in from Hofstra, 6.5 assists a game last season. That to me tells me that this kid's going to come in and he's going to buy in and he's going to want to win at the high major level and he's going to want to dish the ball. The issue is I question the shooting around him. You got Chris Bell, who shot 42% from 3 last year. JJ Starling had a little bit of a down year shooting. Donnie Freeman coming in, he's the freshman 4 that can also the scouting report says that he can stretch it out and be a pick and pop kind of guy, but you're not getting that from Lampkin. Therefore, you're not getting the floor spacing that I think could help Syracuse. This is a weird team. I don't know if I like the roster structure. So I'm going to have to watch this one in November and December as well.
All right. I think they're going to watch. They're going to get into the dance. You know, it's Syracuse.
You gotta not there anymore, Colby.
Got to put him. He'll make a phone call. Next up, we go to Tony Bennett and the Wahoos. Patty C's boys. They'll finish top 3. End of episode. I don't need to break down anything.
Great analysis, Colby.
Only once in the last 7 years did they not finish top 3.
Yeah. End of story.
This could be the worst team.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. Cause like, I know
last
they
year
lose.
Was pretty bad.
That's what I'm saying. They lose Ryan Dunn. They lose Beekman.
I think those guys are going to be missed though. I think I think this year might be worse.
On paper, I guess you could count on their returning production. This year, you don't have that, but I think the potential is a little bit better.
Are we sure
for this year's
Dante
offense.
Dante Harris has been like quit the team. He's back on the team. He's quit the team. Is he on the team or not? No, that's what I hear. Jordan Minor and Jacob Groves are gone too. But TJ Power might work out with them. I could see that working out.
He can shoot. That's about it. He can shoot.
Can he play D?
That's my big fear here is that he's not going to see the floor if he can't play D. And
that's true.
He's a little slow-footed.
Day Ames coming in from Kansas State. Jalen Warley from Florida State. Elijah Saunders from San Diego State. You know he'll fit. And Carter Lang from Vandy. All coming in. 4-star Jacob Coffey coming in as well as a top 100 recruit. Look, they're definitely top 3. I feel good about this. I feel very good about this.
To Rob's point, this is like a service academy. You don't even care who the players are.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to run that system. They're going to win games of low scoring. It's going to be brutal to watch. You don't even have to talk about the players.
I don't even care who's on the roster.
I like watching it.
The only thing could this be like the team 2 years ago or 3 years ago where they overachieve like crazy and their way of overachieving is they finish 6 because they just don't have anybody to score the basketball. That's the only thing.
I want to push back on this. Like McNeely can score the basketball.
That's
and
one
Power,
guy.
If you get him the ball, he's going to be. All they've had is one guy in recent years. They've run on Beekman. They run on Guy.
Let me ask you this:
they've had one stud offensively.
He's an old school coach, though, in an old school program. They don't do well with transfers. It takes a year to learn the system, and then they play. He's banking on some transfers that I just don't know if they're going to slide right in.
I think
I would say you're saying like he doesn't do well with transfer. He's never really like embraced it. This year and also last year he embraced it in a way. So this is the year to truly tell.
Was it last year or 2 years ago where they beat Navy by like 1 point? And I think you look at
2 years ago, right?
Look at some of the teams they play in the first 10 games, like I don't know, like Manhattan or Holy Cross or something. Some of these games are going to be closer than a lot of people think. I'd be taking some points.
This will hit though, Nick. So you don't think they'll be top 3, Nick?
I have them at 4.
And by the way, I see on and I'm curious because you know Dante Harris had quit the team, but I'm seeing I don't know. I this is tricky because I see in the summer that he withdraws from the transfer portal to come back. I also see that he
it probably doesn't matter, like we were saying.
Yeah, it don't matter. Too much time. He played 13 minutes last year.
Well, I'd be a veteran though. Anyway,
they have some guys that return.
Continuing on this journey, we're jumping over to the Hokies. Good Lord. on what happened here. Mike Young, is he on the hot seat, NC Nick?
Damn straight he is.
Mac?
Yeah, he's got to be. They haven't made the NCAA tournament in 3 years now? I guess 2 years, but it was a magical ACC tournament run that got him there. He hasn't finished above 7th in the last 3 years. So, yeah, it's a little bit warm there.
Well, even to make things worse, Hunter Couture is gone. Makai Long's gone. Robbie Baran's gone. Sean Padula transferred to Ole Miss. Lynn Kidd to the Miami Hurricanes. Like we said, Rodney Rice went to Maryland. Tyler Nickel to Vanderbilt. MJ Collins to Vanderbilt. What am I missing here? John Camden to Delaware. I mean, they obviously had to use the portal to bring in some guys. They brought in Jaden Shutt from Duke. Hyzier Miller from Temple. Tabu Lawal from VCU. Rodney Brown from Cal. Ben Burham from Charleston. They bring in those guys. They also have a top 100 recruit and Ryan Jones coming in at the forward spot. They return Poteet and the forward Poteet. They return Jaden Young. I mean,
can I say something?
What's that?
I don't even know what was wrong with the last couple of teams under Mike Young. Like, I've honestly liked a couple of those teams' cores, and like this year, I'm just not buying it. What comes in, I'm not high on this class, and I truly question what we're going for here at Virginia Tech.
I think his problem has been top end talent. I think he goes after mid-major type players who are going to win at Wofford, but they're not going to win in the ACC.
And they were supposed to be in football like top 10. Which means they're probably throwing all their resources. I have a thing that you can't be good at both at the same time.
Baseball this year, they'll be good.
All right. Well, football didn't work out for them, so maybe it'll be baseball. But
again, I see a Duke transfer in the starting lineup. Jaden Schutt has not shown me anything why he should be a starter in the ACC, kind of like Blake's for Stanford. So this talk about a team that lacks talent. This roster is looking kind of rough on paper.
Yeah, I got him in the cellar. Mac?
I don't have him in the cellar. I think Mike Young is a good coach, but he's I don't know, but I never knew about the fit there. I know he's a Roanoke guy, but he kind of treats it so like he's at Wofford. I think he's better with more under the radar guys, to be honest. The team that went on the run at Virginia Tech was kind of more that under the radar team. I kind of think that they're not middle, but just that next tier right above the median line.
Yeah. Bieniek, do you have them towards the bottom or what?
Yeah, I said my piece. I'm good to move on.
All right. Wake Forest. Steve Forbes, could this be the year? I feel like every year they start out hot.
Yeah.
And then they just fall apart. And I start to buy in. I'm like, hey, this seems pretty good. Well, they bring back Hunter Solis as well as Efton Reed III and Cameron Hildreth. So I'm like, hey, what's not to like about this team? Sure, they did, lose Andrew Carr to Kentucky. That hurt. And Kevin Miller to SMU. And a few other guys like Matthew Marsh to Oregon State. But I kind of like what they brought in. Davin Cosby from Alabama, I think could be a player for them. Omaha Baloo from Iowa State. Churchill Abbas from DePaul. Trevon Spillers from App State, who's good there with App State. And a Louisville transfer in Tyloran Johnson there from Louisville.
Yeah, bring your tights.
Yeah, that's the guy, right? I mean, on paper, this roster actually looks pretty good, but why do I feel like it's going to be probably more of the same? Maybe you get in the tournament, maybe you don't. You remember they were right on the cusp. Was it last year? Yeah. And I feel like they probably, if they scheduled a little bit better, I think they would have got in. But maybe they get in this year. I think they could be. This might be his best team yet, if I had to guess. Nick, I'm curious your thoughts.
I kind of agree. I mean, Hunter Salis was all ACC first team last year. Him and RJ Davis are the only two that returned. So he has, player of the conference or player of the year in the conference potential. And pair him with Efton Reed. Both those guys came from Gonzaga. I think Reed was at LSU before that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I like that combo. And then add in a couple other pieces like the guy from England, Hildreth, and some of the guys that got in the portal. I like the team. I think they are, again, probably where they've been the last couple of years. I think they could sneak into the NCAA tournament.
They're in this year. Let's go. Mac, your thoughts on the Deeks?
Yeah, what have they been in the NIT 3 straight years? They had it last year. They beat Duke, and then they lost 3 straight to Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, and Georgia Tech.
Well, when your coach goes running through the quad after a regular season win, you expect a letdown.
God damn, he's too worried about court storming. Coach your damn team, Forbes. I mean, all you had to do was beat Notre Dame, and you're dancing. I think that this is a top-tier team in the league. They bring back a lot. They added some good pieces in the portal. They've been knocking on the door. It's time that Wake Forest finally gets back to the dance. I mean, it's been too long in Winston-Salem.
Yeah. Bieniek, your thoughts on the Deeks?
I have them as a big-time bubble team because I really do question the Tyler Johnson fit in this backcourt because Hunter Salas and Cam Hildreth are great. Both of them are better shooters than they are distributors. And Johnson could be the missing puzzle piece, but I'm not going to bet on a Louisville transfer being that. What I will say is that Steve Forbes has done a really good job at picking out transfers that do fit his system well. Typically they are guards, but like I said, I have some hesitancy about Johnson. But what I will say is typically I'm not too high on up transfers, but Trevon Spillers was a monster at App State who played at a really slow pace. You pair him in the front court with Efton Reed III and then Omaha Blue, who's a big-time recruit at Iowa State. Like, this team has really good pieces once again. So I have them kind of at the bubble, maybe in, maybe out. But I think there are 5 tournament teams in the ACC. I have Wake Forest 6th.
Ooh. Let's get to that. Let's start off going from worst to first at team number 18. I got the Florida State Seminoles.
Whoo, man!
I think Hamilton's going to quit mid-season.
That could happen.
Colby's calling for a Mac Brown.
Pretty much. Nick, who do you got at 18?
Boston College.
Mac?
And maybe Earl Grant gets fired mid-season.
I got Boston College.
That could happen too. Bieniek, you got Boston College?
I have BC 18.
Well, they're my 17, Boston College. So we're off to a good start here. Nick, who do you got at 17?
Stanford.
I got the tree huggers too.
Bieniek?
Yeah, I got the trees 17th.
I have the Hokies at 16.
Ooh.
Yeah. He might be fired mid-season too. Let's just talk about all these guys might get fired mid-season. Nick, who do you got at 16?
SMU.
Mac?
This is where I got the Seminoles. I hated doing it. But Florida State 16.
Bieniek?
Virginia Tech 16th.
I have Stanford at 15. Nick?
Virginia Tech.
Mac?
Georgia Tech. I'm out on Stoudemire.
Noah?
I got Florida State 15th.
At 14 for me. I have the Pussy Pack. NC State. Back to where you belong. What are you doing at 14?
Florida State.
Mac?
I went Cal at 14.
Noah?
NC State 14th.
There we go, buddy.
He's brainwashed you.
There we go.
I think I spoke positively about NC State too. So interesting that Colby landed there.
At 13, I have SMU. NC, Nick, who do you got at 13?
Cal.
Mac?
At 13, I have SMU.
Noah?
I have Pitt 13th. Is that the lowest that anybody had Pitt too? Or who had
pick?
Yeah,
I think that is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I spoke positively on them too, so I'm also surprised that Mac didn't have them lower than me.
Well, they're my number 12, the Pitt Panthers. NC Nick, who you got at 12?
Syracuse.
Mac?
Make it 2 of us. Syracuse at 12.
Bieniek.
I have SMU 12th.
All right. At 11, I have the Clemson Tigers.
Woo, at 11.
That's a step down.
Nick?
Pitt.
Mac?
Right there. You can't even make it in the top 10 in the ACC. Eat shit, Pitt. 11.
Bieniek?
I got Syracuse 11th.
All right. At 10, I have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Georgia Tech.
NC State, back-to-back 10th place finishes. No Final Four this year, though.
Ooh,
I got
Bieniek.
I got Cal 10th.
Ooh.
There we go. At number 9, I do have the California Golden Bears.
Notre
NC
Dame.
Nick? Okay.
Did you hear me?
I said Mac. Did I break up?
Yeah, Colby, I think his mic broke up.
At number 9, this is where I had the Miami Hurricanes.
Bieniek at number 9. Who you got?
I got Georgia Tech, Matt.
They're my number 8. The Yellow Jackets coming in at number 8. Nick?
NC State.
Oh my God, disgusting.
8th? Come on.
Mac?
I got Clemson. Clemson taking a step back. 8th.
Bieniek?
8th, I have Louisville.
Oh. At number 7, for me, I have the Miami Hurricanes. Nick?
Louisville.
Mac?
I got the Hokies. I think I'm on the island. I'm the highest. Mike Young saves his job, baby.
What happened? There's got to be a backstory. You were at Austin P and Mike Young came in and you guys your bus broke down or something.
You guys eat popcorn together?
Yeah.
Everybody's out on the Hokies. The Hokies are going to overachieve this year.
Oh, I love it. Bieniek, what number are we
Where
on right
are
now?
we even at?
7.
Where are we at?
7. Yeah.
7.
I have Notre Dame 7th.
At number 6, I have the Syracuse Orangemen.
Wake Forest 6.
Mac?
They're going back to the NIT where they belong. UVA 6. Tony Bennett underachieves.
Where they belong.
It's time for them to. They've had their run. They've had their run.
Who you got at 6, Bieniek?
I got Wake Forest 6. Demon Deeks.
They are my number 5. I feel like I'm whatever Noah says I follow with. At number 5, I have Wake Forest.
I have Miami.
All right. Mac?
At number 5, I got Pat Kelsey and the Louisville Cardinals. Bubble team, baby.
Bieniek?
I like to see you follow this one, Colby. I have Clemson 5th.
Oh, there we go. At 5th, I have at 4th, I have the Louisville Cardinals.
UVA.
Nick? Mac?
Wait, are we on 4 or 5? We're on 4,
4,
right?
4. Yeah.
Let's get a little hot take. North Carolina takes a little bit of a step back. Number 4, the Tar Heels.
Woo. I know NC Nick likes it.
I like it.
Bieniek, who do you got at 4?
I got the Wahoos, Virginia 4th.
Ooh. At number 3, I do have these North Carolina Tar Heels.
I have Clemson.
Woo. Mac, who do you got at 3?
I like it, Nick.
Micah Shrewsbury, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Take a big step. 3, baby. Let's go Irish.
Bieniek.
North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. At number 2, I have the Virginia Cavaliers. Let's go. Right?
UNC.
Mac, who do you got at 2?
I got the Demon Deacons. Wake Forest. They're going back dance for the first time in forever.
Noah?
I got Miami 2nd.
Well, I have Duke number 1. There you go, Nick. There we go. We have two Dukes. Number one.
He broke it out for the end. The Duke hat. Didn't wear it all
Wins
show
the
until now.
I didn't want to look impartial, you know.
Yeah.
Did we all sweep Duke? Was Duke a sweep?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Great. They're definitely not winning it now.
Yeah. Who do
We
you
got our
got
eyes set on bigger prizes in the ACC regular season. So,
you know who wins the ACC tournament though?
who's that?
Notre Dame.
Where's it at?
Ooh. Good question.
Oh, that's a good question.
Charlotte.
I thought it was back in like Greensboro or Charlotte. Did they sign like a 5-year deal or something with that?
I forget.
2025 ACC Basketball.
Yeah, Charlotte.
That's what I'm saying. I thought they
Charlotte,
signed like a 4 or 5 year deal with that.
So I have up to 10 teams could get into the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying 10 will. I'm saying, not all 10 will. I think the ACC gets 7 or 8 this year. Of course, I am biased there, but I think up to 10 teams could make it.
I got the ACC getting 5 in. I think up to 7 or 8 could get in.
I'm thinking 6 will get in. They had a strong showing last year. Look at them 6. Mac, how many you got in?
5 with Louisville being in the playing game. I think they could get. I mean, they could technically. I can make the case for about 9 of them, but I think 5 with 1 in Dayton.
So who do we have winning the ACC tournament?
I have Notre Dame. Nick's got Duke.
He's going Duke again. He's holding up his hat.
Come
for
on.
the audio.
How often does the team that won the regular season win it? I
What
feel
if
like
NC State wins it back to back?
It won't happen. It won't happen.
Give me Wake Forest to knock down that door.
I'm going to take Clemson. Clemson to win the ACC tournament.
This guy's always sucking off Clemson. What the hell's going on here?
I think they're going to get better throughout the year.
All right, folks, that's our
Sleeper.
show. Two
Sleeper
hours.
bust.
Oh yeah, sleeper.
Yeah, we got to put these things in bold.
Well, sleeper based on your guys' rankings or sleeper based on the
Last
national
year's
perception?
Final standings in the ACC because we don't have a
3
preseason
teams
poll.
though.
True, but we don't have a preseason poll, and yeah,
Sleeper's the California Golden Bears coming in there. They're gonna be playing decent ball. NC Nick's gonna hate
finishing
it.
again.
9th, I believe. Yeah.
9th.
If I can give out 2, it's going to be Notre Dame and Georgia Tech. If I have to give out 1, I'll say Georgia Tech because I know Ryan wants to go Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame's definitely a sleeper if I have them in the top 3.
By our definition, Miami finished 14th last year. I have them finishing 2nd, so that's a sleeper. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame too. I have them 7th.
Miami's going to be preseason top 5 in the ACC rankings, though.
The disappointment is
that's why I gave out Notre Dame.
I like it. Good pick.
All right, so Bus
Clemson.
If you're looking at last year's standings, Pitt.
Oh yeah,
there you go. That's
a good
the answer.
point. That's a good point.
That's a great pick.
It's been a great show, guys.
Yeah.
And may the Schwartz be with you.
Who's your disappointment, Noah?
I mean, I think Pitt takes the cake. I would say I have NC State right there with Pitt. I have NC State 14th, Pitt 13th.
NC State, Clemson, Pitt are going to be the ones I think that disappoint.
To be different, this team finished 9th last year. I have Virginia Tech 16th.
There you go. Mike Young fired. Folks, that's our show. Make sure you check out
something in bold on a bust.
Just put Pitt down. They're always. They're
you know that one.
They're a disgrace to society.
You know that one. Make sure to check out all of
you
our.
need to say it though. If we need to clip it.
Make sure you check out all of our conference episodes. They're doing great. They're doing the Lord's work. Moneyline Mac and Noah Bieniek over there, just cranking out episodes every day. But hopefully you checked out the Mountain West preview that we dropped a week ago, and then all the other ones. There's a slew of them out there, so go check them all out. Check out the college football experience, and the FCS college football experience, as well as the college baseball experience and the Stadium Heads podcast. All of those come together as one. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. Give NC Nick a follow on Twitter at NC__NICK. Moneyline Max on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac. Check out the Ryan and Rush show and the Big 12 college experience as well. Noah Bieniek's on Twitter at NoahB77 _ I think I've said your Twitter handle wrong the past 5 times. Because I think you changed your Twitter account, didn't you? You sandbagged son of a gun.
I changed it a year and a half ago. Yeah.
What the hell am I supposed to? What am I supposed to be keeping tabs on your Twitter handle?
I changed it before last year's basketball season.
Still, I'm gonna. You know what? Follow Noah at 77NB. I'm joking. That's his old Twitter.
That was the old one.
Yeah, that's why I kept saying that. Appreciate everyone tuning in though. Check out Noah. He does great work everywhere with college baseball experience, college football experience, college basketball experience. Till next time, folks, this is the ACC season preview. I can't wait for the season to start. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.
Yeah. I know I'm out of my mind. I've lost my mind. I'm just ahead of my time. Rockin' at first was hell without vodka. I pop up in spots, they screaming, "You clockwork."